We warm into the low 80s Thursday, and that warmer pattern holds into the weekend. A slight chance of an isolated afternoon shower returns late weekend into early next week. I'm Cal Moss with your on-point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com.
Come on, press that button. Yo!
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, it's a busy Wednesday. Good to have you with us here on Sports Talk. Beautiful day in South Carolina. Welcome into the home of the beautiful people, led by the most beautiful. That would be me. And joined by Chris Bergen, who would be probably number 2, and definitely number 3, the plumber. How's old Clarissa doing, huh? So, Lou Holtz passed away today. Expected, of course, after he went into hospice, though you never know when you go into hospice how long it's going to take. 89 years old for the Hall of Famer, the former Gamecock coach. Of course, most people remember him at Notre Dame. Of course, he also coached at Arkansas and other places. And great coach, great personality, a lot of fun to be around. Boy, I tell you what, South Carolina, to have Lou Holtz and Steve Spurrier back-to-back as your head football coaches, who gets that?
Nobody. And I was going to ask you, Phil, does Carolina get Steve Spurrier if Lou Holtz doesn't go and sort of lay the foundation beforehand?
Well, they were good friends, I think. Mm-hmm. Before all that, I think they were good friends, connected, and through golf, because Lou kept a home, of course, in Orlando. That was his primary home. Columbia, even when he coached here, Columbia was his secondary home. He kept his home in Orlando. And, of course, he loved it here because he had all the family here. Skip was on the staff and had other family members here. It was their chance to have everybody together. That was one of the reasons it was an attractive job to him. And, boy, I tell you what, after Brad Scott finished losing his last 10, Lou lost his first 11. Now, I remember going out to Arkansas that first year to cover them, and they were down to like their 5th quarterback. I mean, they just got smoked out there. And then when they finally won that first game the next year, man, they tore down the goalpost, had a big old party, and then they took off. They went.
Who was that? New Mexico State? New Mexico?
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was
one of those two schools.
I think it was. But Lou Holtz, man, he had that smile. Of course, he could disarm you with his personality and his smile. But I got to believe, in that locker room and on those practice fields, he was as tough as they came, and. It was a dream for South Carolina fans. I mean, for decades, they wanted Lou Holtz. Lou Holtz. We need Lou Holtz. He coached at South Carolina briefly under Paul Dietzel as secondary coach. I think it was Paul Dietzel. Maybe it was Marvin Bass. I think it was Marvin Bass, now that I think about it. I could be wrong. And but it wasn't a long stay. But he did have that connection to Columbia and that connection to the university. And Gamecock fans pined for him to come back and be the head football coach. And when they did, he turned it around and made them prominent for a couple of years. Probably should have retired after year 3, after back-to-back wins over Ohio State in bowl games, and turned it over to Skip. I think that was the master plan, to turn it over to his son, Skip Holtz, and because Skip had been a successful head coach at UConn. He gave that up to be an assistant, the offensive coordinator on his dad's staff. He gave up a head coaching job. How many people do that? Skip was a good coach. I really think that had that happen, South Carolina football might have been good for a long, long time. Well, you would not have had Spurrier. Now, that's true. Had that happened, you would not have had Spurrier. But then again, you might still have been good under Skip Holtz, because Skip had planted his feet in South Carolina and recruited the state and kind of built a reputation for himself. So we've got Corey Jenkins coming up at 6:35, the former Gamecock quarterback who became a linebacker in the NFL, current head coach at Dreher High School. So we'll have him to reminisce about what it was like to play for Lou Holtz, what it was like in that locker room, what it was like on those practice fields. He'll join us at 6:35. 7:05, another edition of Chalk Talk. We bring back Coach Reedy and Coach Johnson. Lots to talk about with spring practice going on in the upstate and here in Columbia now. And Rich Bisaccio was officially named today. The Board of Trustees at Clemson signed off. Interesting deal he got, Bergie. This was interesting. I had to read it like 3 times to make sure I understood it and had it right in my mind. So it's a $900,000 deal with a $100,000 bonus if he's still there on July 1st. Oh, that's interesting.
Of this year?
Of this year, yeah. He gets a $100,000 bonus. And then, on top of that, it expires on January 31st of 2027. So it only covers one football season. I had to look at that several times to make sure I was understanding it and counting my years. This is 26, right?
Correct.
So next year would be 27. January 31 of 27 would be next January. So I just found that to be interesting. So it's a $1 million deal with incentives, and it runs through January 31st of 2027. So,
well, that's a lot for a special teams coordinator.
yeah. Well, South Carolina just paid their $700,000. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind that his predecessor at Clemson was making $200,000. So they're adding $800,000 to their payroll at that one position for 1 year. So spin, spin, spin. That's what people have to do. I was talking to somebody last night. I won't say who, but it was somebody in a position of influence and power.
It was me.
At South Carolina.
I was thinking Paul Maneri.
Well, we did talk to him.
Bill went over to the baseball game.
It was only me and one other youngster, two youngsters. There were 2 youngsters in there for the post game, me and one other youngster.
Did you allow them to ask some questions, or did you just say, guys, step back, let the pro handle this?
There's no guys. It was Guy. It was Guy. It was one guy. One guy from Gamecock Central. I think he's like an intern or something, or maybe he's a part-timer. I'm not sure. It's just the 2 of us. And, of course, I asked the best questions. You know. The competition wasn't strong. He asked more, but I asked better. Anyway, that was not who I'm talking about. But somebody I was talking to, you know, I said, man, you know, things aren't going real well around these parts. And this person said, well, you know, you got to spend more money. You got to spend more money now. And I'm like, well, can you get the money? And the response was, we're going to get the money. We're going to get the money. All right, so let's see. They're going to spend more money. They're going to try and spend more money. They're going to try and get more money. I just saw today we're out at Arkansas. Tyson Foods just did a deal with the University of Arkansas for the patch on the jersey, and 90% of the money goes to the players, NIL. But that's Tyson Foods. You know, that's a huge, huge company. Arkansas has how many huge companies based in Arkansas that they can go to for money?
2 that come immediately to mind, Walmart being the other. But I have a little bit of a problem with that split. I get, you know, this NIL money and you want to give as much pay for play as possible, but they're putting the patch on the uniform of the University of Arkansas, but they're going to pay almost all the money to the guys who are actually in the uniform. I would think the university should get a good bit of that cut as well, because it's their logo, it's their uniform. You know, I just have a problem with 90% of that going to the athletes.
Let me break something to you, man. Name on the back is more important than the name on the front.
That's not what Herb Brooks told the players of the 1980 Miracle on Ice team.
Well, he didn't have to recruit. He didn't have to recruit in the NIL era to put that team together.
This is true.
I mean, the name on the back is, to them, the name on the back, them being the players. The name on the back is more important than the name on the front, because I saw something today. Let's see if I can find this real quick. This was a great stat that somebody had tweeted out. Let me see if I can find this real quick. It's a great stat. Took a little time for this person to dig this up. Here it is. It's by a guy named Isaac Trotter. Isaac Trotter, 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports, National College basketball writer. There are only 22 high major scholarship players who will celebrate senior night this week having played at just one place. This is in the Big 10, the Big 12, the Big East, the ACC, and the SEC. Let me read that again. There are only 22 high major scholarship players who will celebrate senior night this week having played at just one school. Mississippi State's Sean Jones Jr. is the only SEC senior to finish where he started. Seniors who have played all 4 or 5 years. There are 10 in the Big 10. There are 5 in the Big 12, 3 in the Big East, 3 in the ACC, and 1 in the SEC. Now think about that. Think about that. That's buying and selling players.
Phil, they were talking last.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. That during the Clemson game last night, they were talking about Seth Trimble at North Carolina. And evidently, Hubert Davis has made the point that he says he hopes he's not. But Seth Trimble may be the last of those guys at North Carolina to play all 4 years where he started.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the quick fix is the portal, John, for basketball. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is the quick fix. And schools who are losing, like South Carolina, and the Gamecocks are going to finish last, I would say in all likelihood they're going to finish last because right now they're tied with LSU. They each have one game left. LSU lost last night. And South Carolina plays at Ole Miss, and LSU, I think, plays a game they'll lose as well. And so you go the tiebreaker, and the tiebreaker.
Texas A&M.
Yeah. So you go the tiebreaker, and the tiebreaker is who's your best win. Well, LSU has the best win between the two of them. You go down the schedule, they have the best win. So they'll be 15th, and the Gamecocks will be 16th. And then, you know, what does Jeremiah Donati do if he's even aware the basketball team is not good? I'm not even sure what he's aware of. You don't see him in anything. But anyway, if he's even aware that the basketball team is bad and they did a bad job putting together a bad team, and not coaching them well. I guess you can throw it all in together there. Just, you know, it's a bad collection of players with a bad concept, coached poorly, and this is what you get. So they'll go to the SEC tournament, play the first game, assuming they lose to Ole Miss. I mean, a miracle could happen. Ole Miss isn't any good this year, but I'm just projecting them to lose and play the first game on Wednesday in Nashville and come on home. And be done with it, you know, while the women are probably lifting another trophy. Though I did see a tweet that had Texas as a higher percentage chance of winning the SEC tournament than South Carolina. So I don't know where that came from.
I don't understand that at all. First off, Texas is not beating South Carolina in South Carolina. I mean, how much longer are we going to have to listen to what's his face out at UT complain about having to play the SEC tournament
every year? Yeah.
And secondly, the Gamecocks have already beaten Texas once. Texas beat them too. I mean, they've split, but I don't see how you look at Carolina and Texas and say that Texas has a better chance of winning the tournament in Greenville than the Gamecocks do.
Yeah. All right. Boy, Clemson at North Carolina last night. Tigers had a chance. I don't know. Dylan Hunter driving to the basket down 3. Got to be better than that. You got to find somebody open, or you yourself, you've got to go and get yourself open and take the 3 to give yourself a chance to tie that thing. So Tigers, you know, they fought hard against North Carolina, but that's a loss. And they'll finish up at home against Georgia Tech and really puts them in a position now in the ACC where they may not make – I got to check the standings. They may not make that they were trying to get to that top 4 to get the double bye. So they might only get the single bye here, which, you know, that's not bad, but you sure would like to have that double bye.
Oh, absolutely. The less time you have to play, the better off you are trying to win the conference tournament. But I think you're right. I think they needed to win that game last night and just couldn't find a way to do it. But back to the Dylan Hunter situation. First off, not only does he try to drive inside and get a layup down 3, but they wasted so much time in the front court that even if he makes the layup or the subsequent tip-in opportunity that he had, they're not going to have enough time to foul North Carolina, go down, have them miss free throws, and then get back up the other end of the floor. That was as bad a final possession as a Brad Brownell coach team has had in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. But give them credit for playing hard and being, you know, in it where they're seldom in it in Chapel Hill. So Duke is going to win the championship regular season. They're 16-1. Virginia's 14-3. They're going to be 2. Miami is 12-4. North Carolina is 12-5. Clemson's 11-6. Yeah. So I don't think there's any way they can't move up. If they win, they beat Georgia Tech, they'll finish 12-6. If North Carolina loses to Duke, they'll be 12-6, but they'll have the tiebreaker with Clemson. And Miami's going to finish ahead of them. So Clemson's going to be no better than 5th. And looks like, if they lose to Georgia Tech and Louisville wins, Louisville will pass them because Louisville – no, they beat Louisville. I'm sorry. So it looks like the Tigers are locked in the 5th spot as far as I can tell. Looks like they're locked in. Well – NC State could catch them. NC State's 10-7. Clemson loses. NC State wins. NC State has the tiebreaker, head-to-head.
Correct.
So they could pass them. And NC State finishes up at home against Stanford. So they should win that game. If they play, decent ball, they should win that game. Stanford's 18-11. They should win that game.
I wouldn't, if I'm Clemson, I wouldn't necessarily mind getting out of that 5 game because if you could fall to, say, 6, as long as you can stay away from Duke as long as possible. I mean, it's probably not going to matter. But ultimately, you don't want to be in that 4 or 5 game because you win, you're going to have to play Duke. And you want to avoid that as long as possible. You're going to have to beat them at some point in time, but you'd like to see maybe somebody else gets lucky and knocks them off before you have to see them.
All right, I want to play a quick game with you. And Plummer, you can play along as well because I always have problems with this. Here we go. You've got 1 second to answer, okay? You got 1 second to answer. I'm calling this the bracket game.
Okay.
We're playing the bracket game here. All right, so we'll start easy here. Bergie, if you're the 8 seed, you're playing what?
You're playing the 1.
Okay. That really wasn't the answer.
Well, yeah. How big is this tournament?
Well, we're talking about the NCAA tournament. NCAA.
Okay, you're
tournament.
playing the 9 game.
Okay,
you're playing the 9.
So here we go. You ready? If you're a 5 seed, you're playing a what?
The 12.
Plummer's totally lost.
I have no clue.
If you're the 3 seed, you're playing what?
The 14.
It's good.
You're trying to compare the play-by-play voice of a NCAA basketball
I'm just trying
team
to see how smart you are.
I'm not very smart.
If you're okay, here we go. Well, we knew that, Plummer. Plummer, if you're the 7 seed, you're playing the what?
13th?
No.
Okay.
No.
The 10.
Hey, I was close.
Bergie, do you know all these by heart? Can you just spit them out? Boom, boom, boom.
I do. Yeah. I mean, you and I have been watching the NCAA tournament. We used to
we
can remember back when you would write in the bracket, Phil.
I can't do it.
Print it off your computer.
I have to think about it. I have to think about it. I know, 1 plays 16, 2 plays 15, 3 plays 14, 4 plays 12, and so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. I just can't spit it out like that. That's impressive. By the way,
thank you.
The Fighting Matt Smith. Speaking of fighting, how about your Coastal Carolina women?
Oh my gosh, yeah, they got into a scuffle at the tail end of their loss today to South Alabama. 7 players ejected for South Alabama. Tracy Houston got tossed for Coastal, so much so that the athletic department had to release a statement and apologize.
Ooh, all we needed was some mud. Just needed some mud to make it a little more fun. Be right back.
Too tough to tame? Try too rough to ride. Nothing about this place lets you sit back. It rips up your tires and tears at your heart.
Let's go!
History, glory, consequences. That's Darlington, where stripes are well earned. The Goodyear 400. NASCAR's best face the lady in black. And this spring,
How about that?
she'll leave her mark.
Hell yeah, boys!
NASCAR weekend at Darlington Raceway, March 20th through the 22nd. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus, here to share some great news. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 529 college savings plan, can now be used for a lifetime of learning. From K through 12 to college and beyond, saving tax-free for your child or grandchild's education has never been easier. You can start with any amount. Contributions are tax-deductible and earnings grow tax-free. Discover the smart, easy way to save for college today at futurescholar.com.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
Make your plans now to get to the coast for the Palmetto State's premier baseball showcase. The Classic, March 5th through 8th at Mike Johnson Park in Georgetown. Now in its 36th year, the Classic features the best high school players and teams from across South Carolina. Don't miss your chance to see the state's top Major League Baseball prospects and title contenders at the Classic. Presented by Coastal Chevrolet Cadillac Nissan. There'll be games and contests, including a home run derby throughout the weekend. Visit theclassicgtown.com for tickets and more information. The Classic, showcasing South Carolina's finest in high school baseball, March 5th through the 8th in the state's best ballpark, Mike Johnson Park in Georgetown.
Play ball!
Effective training is not just about lifting heavier weight. It is about producing force with control. The Tsunami Bar was developed in 2012 to enhance high-intensity workouts while helping reduce joint stress. Its flexible design creates controlled oscillation, requiring your muscles to stabilize and work together throughout each movement. This promotes greater muscle activation, improved balance, and stronger functional performance. Tsunami Bar Sports is committed to continuous improvement, delivering dynamic training tools for individuals at every fitness level. Whether you are focused on long-term strength, injury prevention, or improving rotational stability for sports like golf, Tsunami Bar training supports total body performance. Discover more at TsunamiBarSports.com. Visit TsunamiBarSports.com. That's TsunamiBarSports.com.
Corey Jenkins coming up in a few. Then we got our visit with Coaches Reedy and Johnson. Chalk Talk, top of the hour. A little recruiting in there as well. We're going to hear from Chad Morris tonight if it's the last thing I do. Chad Morris. Heard from Lenora Sellers today and some Gamecock players. Try to get some of that to you as well. Just a jam-packed edition here on Sports Talk. We got baseball. Clemson, Michigan State. Tigers have just tied it up 1-1. After falling behind 1-0, top of the second, Gaffney just homered to left center. They're playing at Fleur. They're playing it in Greenville at Fleur Field. So Gaffney
hit
just
it over
homered.
the monster.
Yeah, he hit left center. He hit it left
Yeah,
center.
he may have avoided the monster.
Yeah. So that was a leadoff homer too. So, well, I was a leadoff. There were no outs. So it's 1-1. Clemson and Michigan State. South Carolina, Charleston Southern tonight. And I tell you, I was over at South Carolina last night. We mentioned that, and I really believe the South Carolina baseball team's going to be competitive in the SEC. Actually, you know, they've got Princeton coming up this weekend, and Princeton's no slouch. Now, Princeton can play. Their RPI is like 15, I believe. Wow. So they can't sleep on Princeton. And then SEC play is coming up. I mean, they're starting to hit. Now, you know, Craddock didn't play last night because he was sick. His hand's okay, but, you know, he can hit. Lee Croy's hitting. They have Evans out in right field is starting to hit. Left fielder's starting to hit. Shortstop can hit. Now, you know, not getting much offense out of center field and not getting a heck of a lot of offense from third base or first base. And, you know, those guys start to hit. And the pitching, I'm telling you, the pitching looks pretty good. Pitching looks pretty good. So I'm going to be surprised if they're not competitive, you know, middle-of-the-pack competitive SEC. Maybe not upper division, maybe not top 5 or so, but maybe 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there in the SEC is pretty good. So,
but that gets them into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. I think this team,
they're middle of the pack.
I mean, I think this team has some possibility. And when they get Horowitz back and when they get Philpott back, that adds the depth of their pitching staff. And, you know, if Gunther is real like he was the other night, if he's that, there's a lot of ifs here. Don't get me wrong. I'm throwing a lot of ifs out there. You know, if Riley Goodman finds what he is capable of that he hasn't done yet, and if Ant Phillips just pitches like he did against Clemson and in that tournament last year, not so much what he did this past weekend, but I mean, he's capable. I'm just telling you. You heard it here first. Be back.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's your Wednesday evening forecast. Overnight stays quiet and partly cloudy with lows near 49 degrees. We warm into the low 80s Thursday, and that warmer pattern holds into the weekend. A slight chance of an isolated afternoon shower returns late weekend into early next week. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, oven baked hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump says he'll soon endorse a Republican candidate in the Texas Senate race. And he's warning that the divisive contest, quote, cannot for the good of the party and our country itself be allowed to go on any longer, unquote. Incumbent John Cornyn and State Attorney General Ken Paxton advanced on Tuesday to a May 26th runoff for the nomination. 4 of the 6 U.S. soldiers killed in the Iran war have been identified by the Pentagon as members of the Army Reserve. They're from different states and worked in logistics and kept troops supplied with food and equipment. They died Sunday when a drone hit a command center at Port Shuaib, Kuwait. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 238 points, the Nasdaq rose 290, the S&P advanced 52. More at srnnews.com.
Are you tired of that sinking feeling when the electric bill arrives? Does the phrase peak hours trigger anxiety and a headache? Do you suffer from chronic fatigue of watching your hard-earned money evaporate right into the power grid? You may be suffering from utility pain and anxiety disorder, or UPAD. Symptoms include sweating when running the AC, a fear of turning on lights, and a general feeling of powerlessness over your energy costs.
It's time for you to try Solarist from Ken at Broker Solar. Broker Solar isn't a temporary fix, but a lasting solution with cutting-edge solar technology designed to address high energy bills at their source. Many clients have experienced immediate relief from high monthly payments with reports of increased home value and greater financial freedom. Imagine a brighter future for your home and your wallet. Side effects include the freedom to use your appliances when you want and a powerful sense of energy independence. Broker Solar, a brighter outlook for your home and wallet. Call us now, 803-807-7417. That's 807-7417 or online at brokersolar.com.
When the Midlands weather puts your roof to the test, trust Shingles Now Roofing. Your local family-owned specialist, Charlie and Rodney, both GAF Master Elite contractors, pride themselves on quality repairs and replacements. Fully licensed and insured, we promise honest work at a fair price. Enjoy free inspections and estimates so you can always know where you stand. Protect your home with a team that treats you like family. Shingles Now Roofing. Shingles Now. Roof repairs right away. Visit shinglesnow.com.
Hi, I'm Sean Paliak, the new owner of Columbia Screen Printing and Design, formerly Bardak Design and Tease Me. We've rebranded, but our experienced staff and quality results haven't changed. We proudly serve the Columbia area with top-notch garments and design, and offer free delivery on our local orders. Visit us on Rosewood Drive near the fairgrounds, or check us out online. For t-shirts, sweatshirts, jerseys, koozies, and more, call Columbia Screen Printing and Design at 254-7940. We're local, fast, and ready to wow you.
Start your journey with a new auto loan. Get ready for a season of adventure. Escape the ordinary and get on the road with an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union. From city streets to off-road trails, your journey begins here. Our competitive rate can get you on the road in a ride that fits your lifestyle and budget, featuring no payments for up to 90 days. You can apply for a pre-approved spending limit valid for 30 days before you start shopping. Let a Founders representative be your trusted advisor to make sure your purchase makes sense for you and your finances. Ask for a free auto insurance quote for a personalized plan to protect your purchase. Founders also offers low fixed rates for used vehicles, giving you an affordable fixed monthly payment. Visit one of our many convenient office locations or go to foundersfcu.com/auto to apply for an auto loan today or to see if you qualify for membership with Founders. Membership qualification required. See webpage for details.
All right, South Carolina, Charleston Southern just getting underway. They're in the top of the first. Connor Ciccoli pitching for the Gamecocks tonight. And Craddock is back in the lineup at first base. And Eric Parker is playing third base tonight, trying to find somebody who can hit over there. Aaron Jamison's in center. Maneri got mad at his center fielder last night, Bach, because he missed a sign during his first at-bat. Took him out of the game. Put him on the bench.
Wow.
Yeah. So ain't nothing wrong with some hard coaching.
It used to be the great motivator.
Absolutely.
Playing time.
And also Luke Uhas is DHing again. He's hitting .353. He had a good night last night, so got him back in there. They're in the top of the first, and they are scoreless over at Founders and Clemson, Michigan State. After 2, they are 1-1. Okay, we got a lot to get to tonight, and, of course, the big news nationally coming out about 4 o'clock this afternoon from the Lou Holtz family is that Lou Holtz passed away at the age of 89 today, and one of his players, one of the great athletes to ever come through our state, had him for a couple of years at South Carolina, went on to the NFL, had a terrific career as a linebacker, now the head football coach at Dreer High School just down the road from us. We welcome Corey Jenkins to Sports Talk, share a few thoughts and memories about playing for the legend Lou Holtz. And Coach Jenkins, welcome in. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, guys. How are you guys doing today, man?
We are doing great. Thank you for joining us. I know as a former player with the Gamecocks under Lou Holtz and knowing his health situation, you no doubt prepared yourself for this day for a while. Just your thoughts now that the day has come, the word has come that he has passed away.
Well, I mean, obviously it's a pretty sad day, but at the same time, it's a day to rejoice. You know, I'm happy for him. Him being bedridden and not being able to get up and move around and do the things he wanted to do. I mean, everyone who knows him knows that was probably one of the hardest things he's ever had to deal with in his life. And, you know, being 89 years old, he has lived a very long and productive life. So I'm actually happy for him. Mm-hmm. And I know from a selfish standpoint, we all don't want to lose loved ones or people that are close to us. But, you know, for him, I'm really happy for him that he's going to a place now that where he can get up and move around and coach and chew grass and everything else he loves to do.
Absolutely. When was the last time you had a chance to have a conversation with him, either on the phone, through email, in person?
I talked with him on the phone probably about a year ago. Just, you know, checking on with him down in Florida. And he was still himself, still doing well. You know, he wished me well, obviously, and we had a few laughs. And, you know, obviously I haven't spoken to Skip in a while. But other than that, you know, he was doing good at the time.
So when you came to South Carolina, of course, you know, having grown up here, you knew all about the university and all that, and you went the junior college route to play quarterback, to learn to be a quarterback, and then Lou Holtz comes to South Carolina, and they're needing a quarterback, and he loved a quarterback who could run and throw, and you kind of fit the bill for them. What was it like when you got to South Carolina to play for him and kind of learn his system and his style?
I mean, obviously that was a dream come true for me just to be a Gamecock. Growing up, literally 2 minutes down the street, and living in Upper Town, it was one of the biggest moments of my life to play at South Carolina and then to play for Coach Holtz. I think, a lot of people may have forgotten, he recruited me really heavy coming out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
He was at Notre Dame at the time, and they offered me a full ride to go to school there. And, that was right, that was shortly after the Tony Rice era, where he went out and did what he did. So, which is another South Carolina guy. So I think he liked quarterbacks from South Carolina, and I was glad to fit that bill. And then when I found out he was at the University of South Carolina, I decided to say, okay, I had enough of baseball here. Let's go back to school and play football. He actually welcomed me in with open arms.
Did he view you as another Tony Rice?
No, he viewed me as Corey Jenkins. I mean, obviously there was comparisons between the two of us, and unfortunately I wasn't able to do all the great things that Tony did, but he was there for 4 years. I was there for 2 years, and I think if I could have stayed longer, under his watch, I think I could have done some things a lot better than the 2-year period that I had. So, obviously we both wore number. I wore number 9, obviously, which I didn't ask for. It was just kind of given to me in my locker. So,
yeah.
That became my number. Now that number is pretty important in my household. My son wears number 9 in high school. So, it was a great thing to play under him at South Carolina. So, a legendary coach, and to me, just being obviously South Carolina is my legendary school.
Yeah. Visiting with Corey Jenkins. Of course, you were a little bigger, a little thicker than Tony Rice. Tony was kind of a string bean, and, I mean, obviously you grew into a linebacker when you got to the NFL. In your game, did Coach Holtz and Skip Holtz and the offensive staff, did they kind of see you as as a bruising, running type of quarterback versus being a passing quarterback, or how did you view yourself in their offense?
I tried to view myself as just a guy to help kind of lead that team. If I needed to throw the ball, I'd throw it. Obviously, running was my strong suit, and I think that's how, we felt as a team, and I think that's how Coach Holtz and obviously the other young Coach Holtz, Skip, I think that's how they felt as a staff. We had a pretty good duo in the backfield with Pinnock and Watson and Ryan Brewer, and, we had a nice front line. Our offensive line was pretty good, and running the ball was a big thing for us. So, if you could stop the run, stop it, and Coach Holtz was one of those guys. He didn't care if the defense knew what was coming. He said, if we do our jobs, it don't matter if they know, they can't stop it.
So I always hate it when people say, can you give me a favorite story, or can you give me a favorite memory of a time with somebody and all that kind of stuff? It's hard. I'm sure you got so many memories of your time with Coach Holtz in the locker room, on the practice field, in the game. But I'll ask anyway. Anything really stand out to you from your time with him, your memories?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was, it's my first year there. I came in as a junior, obviously, coming out of junior college. And, how they had back then they had the freshman practice. The freshmen and the newcomers were able to go out and practice in pads for the first 2 or 3 days. And I got a lot of praises at that point in time. I didn't really hear any screaming, any yelling, no fussing. And then, day 3 or day 4, veterans come out. All of the sophomores and juniors and seniors all come back, returning guys. And the first pass I threw when they were out there, I got ripped left to right. And it was, son, you will never, ever play quarterback here throwing the ball like that. And the pass was obviously incomplete, but, it had a chance to be completed, and it took me completely off guard because I didn't get that for the first 2 days. It was good job, no fussing. I felt like, okay, I can really deal with this. And after he did that, Phil Petty came over to me and put his arm around me and said, hey, Jing, get used to it, buddy. He's harder on quarterbacks than he is anybody.
He liked his quarterbacks to be fundamentally sound and precise in their actions. You kind of gathered that from your dealings with him?
Oh yeah, he is a stickler for attention to detail, from your play call to your steps to reading the defense. Everything he did was paying attention to detail. And he's not only the first coach, he's the only coach I know that, obviously everybody does an inside drill in practice. And I was the only quarterback on our team to always go live on inside. Like there was I didn't wear a yellow shirt, and I think he did that on purpose. So that was kind of shocking to me because, you always see guys on the quarterbacks on TV with different colored jerseys. And I was kind of looking forward to that just to kind of feel good about it. And it was like, nah, you just going to have on a normal jersey. So, and we all wore normal jerseys. Nobody wore anything different.
How sad was it for you the way it ended for him at South Carolina?
It was hard to see it happen that way. Such a great coach to go out with, so many things happening, from the big fight with Clemson and just the record not being the way it should be. He probably stayed a little bit longer than he should, but that's just the competitive edge of him. And that's almost any coach that loves the game. You look at Spurrier, he was the same way. They probably stay a little bit longer than they probably really want to. More than they need to, but that's just the love of the game. But I don't think it takes away from his legacy and his career, how his career ended.
Last thing, before we ask you about Dreer. So we know what a great speech maker he was, a public speaker, and how great he was on television, how much fun he was to watch on ESPN. I mean, the things they did with him on ESPN were just classic, and those things have never been touched, never been matched, really, with what they've done ever since. Great stuff. So, a favorite locker room pregame speech? Can you recall where he was at his most fiery with you guys before a game, and it paid off? Maybe it uplifted you guys to play at a higher level.
Well, I mean, that's a tough one because he's always fired up every single game. He's fired up every single day. There's not one time where he comes in that locker room and he's not giving us a speech to where it's time to go play ball or it's time to go to practice. I think the most relaxing thing was pregame. The night before the game, we would do a relaxation period and we'd go in the locker room, all the lights off, and he'd be the only one talking, just relaxing guys. That's one of the biggest things I remember because I never thought I could listen to his voice and wind up falling asleep, and it was one of those things. It was just a relaxation period. So, and it was okay to fall asleep. That was that's what he was trying to accomplish, is to get you to relax to a point to where you fell asleep. And, but before games, he was just always a spitfire guy that talked a lot. Was very motivating, and it is not one speech that sticks out more than the other.
Yeah.
When you're a great coach, you're a great coach, and every speech you say always means something to everybody.
Sure. How are things at Dreer?
We're growing, man. We're growing. This is just completed year 4, and we started off in the right track 2 years ago. 4 years ago. It started off tough, then we had a good second year. And the past 2 years have been a little bit challenging, with us being at a 4A division right now. But, we're back at 4A again. And, but I think now we have a system in place. We have a lot of kids that's bought in and that's ready to play. And I think this year is going to be a lot different.
Your son is what grade, and he's playing what for you?
Well, my son's he's a freshman right now. He played wide receiver and DB this year for the JV team. I don't mind bragging on him a little bit. He had 3 kickoff returns for touchdowns this year, so he did some good things. But he still has a lot of work to do. So we're gonna continue to work that. But I think he's starting to buy in and understand now that he can probably play the game a little bit. So he's starting to get a little more confidence.
All right, we don't want to rank him too early, huh? Don't want to make him a 5-star just yet.
Vicari Swain
No. He hadn't done anything to deserve that yet.
Great talking to you, my friend, and
yes, sir.
Sorry for all the former Gamecocks who lost their coach today. I mean, you lose your coach. That's a tough thing, and wish you the best, and hope to see you soon.
Yes, sir. You know, a guy like Coach Holtz, he's touched so many lives. You know, there's obviously, I'm hoping that USC obviously does a memorial. I'm sure Notre Dame is going to have a big one. I'm sure he's probably going to be buried in Indiana where his wife is.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really big deal because he's been around the game of football and just the game of life for nearly 90 years. That's a long time to be on this earth. And, you know, for me, again, like I say, it's a sad day, but it's a good day because he's lived a long, very prosperous life. And I'm happy to say that he was my coach. He was my friend. He was a mentor to a lot of kids and a lot of guys on our team. And I'm glad to be a part of that group.
Well, we appreciate you joining us tonight and sharing your thoughts. Have a great rest of the week and a terrific spring practice, and we'll talk to you again.
Thanks, Corey.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thank you. The great Corey Jenkins, what an athlete he was. I remember, the introductory press conference for Holtz was at Williams-Brice Stadium, and Mike McGee walked him into the stadium. I mean, it was like the Pope. There might have been, 5,000 or 10,000 people there to greet him. It was crazy. We'll be back.
Too tough to tame? Try Too Rough to Ride. Nothing about this place lets you sit back. It rips up your tires and tears at your heart.
Let's go!
History, glory, consequences. That's Darlington, where stripes are well earned. The Goodyear 400. NASCAR's best face the lady in black. And this spring,
How about that?
she'll leave her mark.
Hell yeah, boys!
NASCAR weekend at Darlington Raceway, March 20th through the 22nd. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
We're with Major Billy Downer of the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, let's say I'm out in the woods or I'm on the water and I need to reach a DNR agent. How do I do that?
Operation Game Thief, Phil. It's been around 30 plus years. You can call us at our 24-hour hotline any time of day, 1-800-922-5431. To report wildlife violations or to get help if you're in trouble in the woods or on the water, call us at Operation Game Thief, 1-800-922-5431.
Start your journey with a new auto loan. Get ready for a season of adventure. Escape the ordinary and get on the road with an auto loan from Founders Federal Credit Union. From city streets to off-road trails, your journey begins here. Our competitive rates can get you on the road in a ride that fits your lifestyle and budget. Featuring no payments for up to 90 days, you can apply for a pre-approved spending limit valid for 30 days before you start shopping. Let a Founders representative be your trusted advisor to make sure your purchase makes sense for you and your finances. Ask for a free auto insurance quote for a personalized plan to protect your purchase. Founders also offers low fixed rates for used vehicles, giving you an affordable fixed monthly payment. Visit one of our many convenient office locations or go to foundersfcu.com/auto to apply for an auto loan today or to see if you qualify for membership with Founders. Membership qualification required. See webpage for details.
Traveling can be the worst, especially when you can't find your favorite show. Well, don't worry. We've got the perfect way to keep up with everything happening in the Palmetto State when you're away from home. Just pull up the Chief Sports app on your mobile device, and you can listen live to Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network.
So the next time you can't find us on one of our great radio affiliates, just log on to the Chief Sports app, the best way to stay connected with the Sports Talk Media Network.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Just like in college basketball today, sometimes it's about who you bring in off the bench to provide that extra spark. At StraightUpSports.net, we're excited to announce the addition of Brett Friedlander, a longtime ACC insider columnist, to our all-star lineup that includes Bob Gillespie, Scott Kiefer, Mark Sturgis, and more. At StraightUpSports.net, it's always about the stories. Check out this all-star lineup at StraightUpSports.net or at Straight Up Sports on Facebook.
All right, thanks to Corey Jenkins for being with us. South Carolina's taking a 1-0 lead on Charleston Southern. Lee Croy with a sacrifice fly gets the run home for the Gamecocks in the bottom of the first, 1-0. Let's go to a little Chad Morris. Dabo Sweeney's talking to the Tigers, to the media tonight after their practice. We'll have that up on our website later. From the other day, Chad Morris, offensive coordinator, his first chance to really talk about his offense. His first press conference, of course, was dominated by the Ole Miss deal. So here's a little bit from the Tigers' new offensive coordinator, Chad Morris, talking about those early days of spring practice and what they're doing out there.
Great to see these guys flying around a little bit. Like I said, we're doing some good things. We've got a long way to go, but man, for the first couple of days and watching these guys try to learn a new system, it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to get out there on the field with these guys and again, try to strain these guys. That's the biggest thing. That's my message this spring is we got to create some toughness. We got to strain these guys, and it's got to start with us as a coaching staff and start with me as a coordinator. Then, everything counts. And so excited to get through day 2. I'll be back on the field tomorrow in the Valley for day 3. So, and we actually get a little bit of pads on tomorrow. So it's been good so far. So with that, I'll open up.
Can you just tell us a little bit about you calling that night of the press conference and saying, I could have been up there new? Did you walk us through that call?
Well, I think we were all in tune to what happened after the supposed introductory press conference with me. But after it was over with, it went for a while, and I knew that everything was pretty tense and everything. So I just picked up the phone and called him and said, "Hey, I'm a little upset." And he said, "Well, what's the deal?" And I said, "Well, and nobody knows who the offensive coordinator is." And I said, after that, I need a new introductory press conference, I believe. And so he started laughing. It just kind of broke the humor of the night. And I think I had him laugh. He was laughing so hard, I thought he was probably going to be on the ground. He was at his house, and he could hardly talk to me. He was laughing so hard. And but it was that's kind of the way it went. And just tried to make light of everything that happened before obviously his message. And so, but yeah, it was good.
How important is it for you to strain your quarterbacks, all of them, this early on?
Well, I think first of all, it's important to strain the staff. I think it's important to strain the entire group. And quarterbacks are part of the group. But that's the only way. Starts with me, starts with our staff, and holding those guys accountable, and those guys holding their position groups accountable. And that includes the quarterbacks. And, as I've shared from the start, as practice should be so much more demanding than any game. Games we should be able to go out there, man, it ought to be a breeze for us to go out and react and go out and play. And so it starts with our staff too now.
I know it's early, but what have you seen out of the quarterback group so far?
They're all competing. That's what I've seen. I think that right now they're drinking water through a fire hose. And it's as they all are, as I would expect. That's not shocking by anybody right now with the change of system and the change of how everything flows. But they've competing. I will say that they're all competing, and I've been in every one of the meetings, and I think that they've done some good stuff. All of them collectively have done some good stuff at certain points, and they've done some stuff that we got to get better at. But they're competing, and that's what you love.
I guess you got to be pleased with the physical look of Vincent. At least looks like he put on a little bit more weight.
Yeah. Chris looks good. I mean, obviously he's extremely athletic, and I think he's put a lot of work in this offseason. You can definitely tell it.
All right, Chad Morris. Some of what he had to say. It's all up on the website, SportsTalkSC.com. Which, by the way, it's a free website. I noticed where Rivals is raising their subscription by $20, Berkey. $20.
Wow.
Let's see, from $99 to $170. Yeah, about $20 they're raising. We haven't raised our prices ever. We're free.
We did consider, raising it 10%, but decided against that.
Well, 10% of nothing is still
exactly
nothing.
It's still zero.
Well, we did increase the Russian bride count.
That's true. You do have to look at more Russian brides than normal.
Actually, we decreased
that. That is Plummer's favorite part of the website.
Yeah. We decreased that.
Yeah. How's old Precious doing, by the way? Precious.
I will plead the fifth.
Precious. All right, that's Chad Morris. Coming up, we have two more great coaches to hear from. Chuck Reedy, Ellis Johnson, Chalk Talk. Dive into Rich Bisaccia a little bit more. Of course, we had Ellis on earlier. We'll get Chuck's thoughts on that, and also the passing of Lou Holtz. They obviously knew Lou Holtz and crossed paths with him one way or another over the years. So we'll talk with them about that. Have some recruiting for you as well. And then SC Wild. You know, we've got the state archery. The state archery championship going on, and it's something near and dear to the Major's heart. We're going to talk about that. Top of the hour.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A U.S. submarine has sunk an Iranian warship off the coast of Sri Lanka. Correspondent Charles de Ledesma has more.
Sri Lanka's foreign minister says its navy received information that the IRS Dena, with 180 people on board, was in distress and sinking. The island nation sent ships and Air Force planes on a rescue mission. A navy official adds, by the time the ships reached the location, there was no sign of the ship, and there were only some oil patches and life rafts. Adding, we found people floating on the water. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, at a Pentagon news briefing, says that the U.S. thinks that the sunken vessel was the Islamic Republic's prize ship.
Instead, it was sunk by a torpedo. The first sinking of an enemy ship by a torpedo since World War II.
I'm Charles de Ledesma.
President Trump says the U.S. is decimating Iran's war capabilities.
Missiles are being wiped out rapidly. Their launchers are being wiped out. They're attacking their neighbors. They're attacking their, in some cases, allies, or not so long ago allies. And, you know, it's really a nation that was out of control, and they would have used it on us if we let them, if we waited any longer.
The tempo of the strikes on Iran was so intense that state television announced the mourning ceremony for Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei would be postponed. 4 of the 6 U.S. soldiers killed in the Iran war have been identified by the Pentagon as members of the Army Reserve. They're from different states and worked in logistics and kept troops supplied with food and equipment. They died Sunday when a drone hit a command center at Port Shuaiba, Kuwait. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 238 points, the Nasdaq rose 290, the S&P advanced 52, oil up to $75.69 a barrel. More at townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-0141. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
The Winter Paralympics come to Milan Cortina to celebrate their 50th anniversary this week. Bob Agnew reports.
China will be looking to extend its dominance as a Paralympic powerhouse. Ukraine and some other countries boycotted the opening ceremony over the return of the Russian flag and anthem. The games will officially kick off on Friday amid the tensions of the war in the Middle East, which prompted travel headaches for many athletes. Wheelchair curling kickstarted the 6-sport competition on Wednesday. Bob Agnew reporting.
Lou Holtz, the College Football Hall of Fame coach who led Notre Dame to a national championship and won 249 games over 33 seasons at 6 schools, has died. He was 89. Notre Dame announced on Wednesday that Holtz died in Orlando, Florida, surrounded by his family. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's your Wednesday evening forecast. Overnight stays quiet and partly cloudy with lows near 49 degrees. We warm into the low 80s Thursday, and that warmer pattern holds into the weekend. A slight chance of an isolated afternoon shower returns late weekend into early next week. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point. This is The Point. Make thepointradio.com. Come on, you're too slow. Press the button already.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network. Hour 2, Phil Kornblutz, Chris Bergen, the plumber, Josh Cohen with his new girlfriend, Precious. Michigan State and Clemson 1-1, bottom of the fourth. South Carolina 1-0 on Charleston Southern, bottom of the second. Citadel 1-0 on Georgia Southern, top of the third. That's it for state schools in action so far tonight. And we got some recruiting coming up for you. But let's dive back into the deep, deep football minds of Chuck and Ellis edition of Chuck Talk.
Get ready for a deep dive into the X's and O's. This is Chalk Talk with coaches Chuck Reedy and Ellis Johnson on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, let's welcome in two of the great ones, Chuck Reedy, Ellis Johnson. Great to have the two of them with us here as we start to work our way through spring practice. Welcome, gentlemen. Great to have you. Let's begin, however, with your thoughts on the passing of Lou Holtz. And I don't think either one of you ever worked for Coach Holtz, and but I'm sure your paths crossed, multiple times in many different ways. Chuck, your thought on Coach Lou Holtz?
Yeah, well, obviously, hate to hear this, and I did have the opportunity several times actually when I was at Baylor. We spent 4 or 5 days when I first got the Baylor job. We went and spent time with him at Notre Dame, and he was so gracious and just sat there and I had a notepad full of questions for him, and he sat there and answered all of them, and was just always very gracious, and you hate to hear it, and certainly think about he and his family.
Sure. Ellis, how about you?
Yeah, very sad to hear it. I knew he'd been in hospice for weeks now and not doing well. I've been doing a podcast out of Memphis with a group, and one of the guys on there is Pete Cordati. Pete was his quarterback at NC State and followed him around about 3 or 4 different coaching jobs, and we've obviously heard a lot of good Lou Holtz stories, with Pete. Heck of a track record. I would tell one interesting thing. When I was at the Citadel, Clyde Venn called me and asked me if I'd be interested in that coordinator job at Carolina. I said, well, I don't know. I probably would. Pays more, still in the state system. So he said, well, come up here Wednesday night. I want you to meet with Coach Holtz. So I came up there, and Clyde met me in the back of the Floyd building. We went up the back way and waited for him in the staff room. He came in, we talked football, and he said, send me some of your game tapes. I went home, I sent some game tape. And Clyde called me back and said, he likes his tape, and he said, he's going to move on this thing. All of a sudden, I didn't hear anything. Finally, Clyde tracked him down in Florida. And what had happened is the president, Dr. Sorensen, had asked him not to hire me. So that's another story. I thought I was going to Carolina, but I didn't. And
Wow.
every time he'd see me after that, he would apologize for not hiring me. I said, Coach, I'm the one that should apologize for not telling you all this mess that was going to happen if you tried to hire me.
You want to tell us what happened with you and Dr. Sorensen? That's what I want to hear.
Sorensen was the president of Alabama when we were there.
Ah.
And when we were all terminated, I asked for just the difference in my contract and the Citadel.
That's right.
And they told me they would do it, and I went on to work at the Citadel. About 3 weeks later, Mal called and said they're not going to do it. So I had a guy over there, a lawyer, talked me into suing him. So he sued for the money, and they threw it out of court, summary judgment on sovereign immunity. And so it says in the contract you can sue them in this court. And they said, well, can't do it. Sorry. Should have known, you were fighting Alabama and I in Tuscaloosa. You weren't going to win.
Mm.
Well, this lawyer told me, he said, look, these two people that signed this contract, if it can't be enforced in court, this is fraudulent. He said, I'm going to sue them. So unfortunately, my lawyer sued Bob Baccarat, the ex-AD, and Andrew Sorensen, the ex-president. And 2 or 3 years later, I'm trying to get a job at Carolina, and Andrew's the principal, the president.
You were fried.
Well, that ain't the end of it. He was still there when Steve hired me. Steve called and offered me the job, and then the next day he went silent. And I tracked him down, and he said, well, my president thinks I'm going too fast on this.
Ooh.
I said, I know what happened, Steve. Don't worry about it. And so he finally he hired Van Gorder, and then Mike Smith went to the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
Van Gorder left, turned around, went back to the Falcons. So Steve called me out of Arkansas and said, you want this job? I said, Coach, I can't go through this again. He said, no, I've already talked to Mike Starks and told him I had to do it. So then I ended up at Carolina. Don't you remember when Steve was asked about it all? He went through the whole thing. He said, everybody ended up pretty happy about it all. Except Bobby. Bobby's a little bit bad over at Arkansas.
That's great. What a great story. All right. Wow. So let's turn our attention to spring, and Ellis will stick with you. Rich Bisaccia, official, on the job today, working this afternoon. Can you tell us, if you can, I'm trying to understand why he only got a contract that runs through January 31 of 2027. It's $1 million contract, but it's kind of, the length of it's kind of weird. Any idea why it's so short?
I really can't talk about it as much as I do know, but I know it was his idea, and I don't know particularly why, but he just felt like he would be more comfortable with a 1-year contract.
Which, of course, frees him to...
It was kind of his idea.
Yeah, kind of frees him to move on if he wants to, or I guess if things go well, they can re-up him to another contract. Chuck, we had Ellis on earlier in the week when the news broke about Rich Bisaccia going to Clemson to be the coordinator. $1 million deal Clemson gave him to be a special teams coordinator. And South Carolina gave theirs $700,000, their new guy. I think the guy that left was making about maybe $800,000 or so. Special team coordinators doing pretty well for themselves around here.
Well, they are, but you've got to figure Bisaccia. With his background and everything, that's probably a steal for Clemson, I would think.
What do you like about him from what you know?
I never had the opportunity to work with him. I met him a few times way back. But you look at his track record and where all he's been, and again, of course, Ellis can relate much better than me, obviously. But you're just talking to people that know him. He's a first class guy, and I think he'll be a great asset for him. I think Clemson's done really well with the hires that they've made with he and Chad Morris.
Yeah, Ellis, how do you feel about what they've done up there? Sweeney has aged his staff by going back and bringing back Morris and hiring Bisaccia. And, Tom Allen's no spring chicken either. Now his son is taking over the safeties back there, so he's a youngster. And Boulware's coaching linebackers, and he's kind of a youngster. But in particular, going to Basashing and going back and bringing Morris in. Reading the people up there that cover the team day to day, they kind of feel like Dabo is realizing that it can't all be him calling all the shots, and he needs some wiser heads around him to make suggestions that stick, not suggestions that he will just shun away.
Well, yet they would know better. I don't know that it was any conscious move by him on the changes to make sure he got older guys this time. He's not saying anything to me. Nobody up there has. So I don't know that for a fact. But they did get some really good, experienced people who know Clemson. The other thing about them, both of them have been at Clemson before. And I know that Tom has not been at Clemson, but he wanted to kind of move down this way because family's down this way. So he's sort of a homecoming of his own. But, Richie, I tell you about Richie. Richie goes to Tampa Bay as special teams coach, and within 2 years, Gruden's got him coaching running backs too. And I mean, and then most of the places he's been, he's ended up being named as an assistant head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And anywhere you go, so the players like him, they respond to him. He's a great teacher. He was a heck of a recruiter in college, and a real good recruiter. And I don't know how much he'll be involved in that with Clemson, but they'd be smart to use him because he is an excellent recruiter.
All right, Chuck, the Gamecocks began today. We heard from Lenoris Sellers among the players that were brought in to speak to the media today. And, this is he's a young man now. He came in as a young kid. Now he's a young man, fourth year, third different offensive coordinator and quarterback coach and all that. What do you think Kendall Briles will work with him on? What do you think, if you were working with him based on what you saw last season, what sort of things would you break down and try and improve on with him?
Well, I think you've just got to find ways to let him be him. Take advantage of what he can do. Don't try to tie him down and make everything too structured for him, which I think they did last year. I think, if you after the first game last year, I think we talked about this, that, they were trying to make a pocket passer out of him. And, that just wasn't, that wasn't him. And so, I think that Kendall they will structure their offense around things that he can do. And that will be design runs, and that will be getting him on the perimeter. Not trying to lock him down to being in the pocket passer.
Ellis, I think the Gamecock defense on paper looks pretty good. I think that here in the early portion of spring, which is not unusual, I think the defense will be ahead of the offense simply because they have more veteran players back, and that offensive line at South Carolina is going to be brand new, and they two offensive linemen are two significant ones are out for an extended period in Peak and Thompson. So do you see the Gamecock defense maybe being a formidable group this year with the players they have coming back and the guys they added through the portal, John? And also they did some good recruiting on the defensive side as well, like the Currents kids got a chance, I think, to be a really good player for them.
Yeah, I don't know personnel. I don't keep up with it much anymore anywhere. So I wouldn't get into that too deeply. I think we said earlier on this show, we were talking about Clayton. And I think Clayton coming back, is it a fifth year in a row or sixth?
Oh, well, he's been here every year with Beamer, so this would be...
This is his sixth year.
Yeah,
right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I just think that tremendous stability, and there's some of it in the rest of the staff on that side, but him being there consistently that length of time, I think has helped them a lot. You get better at recruiting to a certain system. You get better at managing it, running it, adapting it, adjusting it, doing it, changes at halftime, et cetera, installing it. You start using kids, kind of taking their skill sets and fitting them in better. And I just think that's going to be one of the bright spots. But I can't speak to the personnel. I mean, I think they lost some good players, but they obviously got some good ones coming back. So I would think that'd be an area they can lean on early on.
And Travian Robertson, Ellis, was back in practice today full-time, fully active now, healthy enough to do everything out there. So not to take anything away from Coach Dove, who had to fill in, but I mean, Travian Robertson's kind of a special defensive line coach.
Well, I'm partial, obviously, and I'm probably a little bit hype on him a little bit, but I tell you what, if you go back and look 2 seasons ago when he came in, he changed that defensive front. And those kids got better. They got more experience. They got more consistent. They got tougher. And I just think he had a lot to do with it. And I think that's a good thing that he's back and on the field and constant contact with those kids like he should be.
All right, last thing, we'll let you guys go. Chuck, you think there'll be much of a quarterback competition at Clemson this spring?
I don't think so. Everything that I gather is that Vizina, he's acting like the veteran that he is. Been around a long time now, and certainly they're gonna give them all a look and give them all reps in spring. But I'd be shocked, if we get into the fall and he's not the guy.
I mean, with Chad Morris, what things do you think? It's interesting. We got these 2 coordinators, 2 new quarterback coaches at both places now taking over these guys. In the case of Sellers, he's played so much, he's sort of set in his way. Vizina's still a guy that Morris can kind of mold in some ways, can he?
Well, he can. The problem that they're going to have, I think, with Vizina is he's not very mobile. And so I think they're going to be a little bit limited in what they can get out of him as far as using him as a runner, as they did with Trevor and as they did with Cade and Ungalele. I mean, all of those guys, they had a running package for them. I would be surprised if they're going to be able to do much with him in that regard. And that's where Denson certainly may come in, or Reynolds may come in. As we said before, I think they'll have a package for Denson, where they can put him in, a series here and there, and take advantage of his athletic ability.
All right. Well, we'll talk more next week with you guys. I want to thank the Golden Bachelor for spending some quality time with us tonight. He's a busy guy with all his podcasts and everything else going on. So thank you, Coach Johnson.
You're quite welcome.
And now with Rich up there, you got somebody who can go to lunch with you. That's good. You got a buddy.
Good.
You got a buddy up there.
You ever been to lunch with Rich?
Does he make you pay?
You always end up paying that.
And thank you, Coach Reedy.
My last one was with bonefish, and it wasn't easy.
And thank you, Coach Reedy. I hope to see you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, you. Guys. Thank you, Coach Reedy, and thank you to the Golden Bachelor, Coach Ellis Johnson.
Well, Rich has got a nice little contract. He should be able to pay for at least a lunch now.
I would say.
I can't believe you had – now, I understand me not hearing that story about Coach trying to get the job at Carolina. I can't believe you had never heard that one.
I think I had. It's just better when he tells it. When he started telling it, I remembered the issue he had at Alabama trying to get his money and suing them. So, yeah, I'm familiar.
Great story.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. That's the sound of a big hit on you and your car or truck. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years, helping people who get injured in car wrecks and truck wrecks. If you have serious injuries, call Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968, or email me at jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. That's Corbett. I don't get paid unless I recover for you. Jim Corbett Attorney, for your best recovery from a big hit, 803-765-2968, or jim@jimcorbettattorney.com.
One lottery ticket makes a big difference for our state students. And when I say big, I mean bigger than jackpot big. Since 2002, South Carolina students have benefited from more than $6 billion in lottery-funded scholarships and grants, including the Life, Hope, and Palmetto Fellow Scholarships. With every lottery play, you're supporting our students, and that adds up in a big way. That's why education is our middle name. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
If you want to reach sports fans, there's no better place than the Sports Talk Media Network. We give your business exposure on over 20 radio affiliates across South Carolina, plus online at SportsTalkSC.com and on our growing social media platforms. That means radio, digital, and social, all working together for your brand. Our audience is loyal, engaged, and they trust what they hear from us. We partner with local businesses, regional brands, and anyone who wants to connect with real sports fans. From live reads and sponsorships to digital advertising, we'll build a custom campaign to fit your goals and budget. Ready to advertise with Sports Talk Media Network? Visit sportstalksc.com/sales-contact. That's sportstalksc.com/sales-contact. Sports Talk Media Network, advertising that reaches sports fans.
In 2012, inside Clemson football's weight room, a different kind of barbell was developed. The Tsunami Bar is a flexible, oscillating bar designed to enhance high-intensity training while helping reduce joint stress. Unlike traditional rigid bars, it moves. That movement forces your stabilizer muscles to activate, your core to engage, and your body to produce force more efficiently. The result is improved strength, better balance, and more functional performance. Tsunami Bar Sports continues to provide innovative, dynamic training solutions that empower individuals of all fitness levels to reach their peak potential. Whether you're training for general fitness, building resilience, or improving rotational strength for sports like golf, the Tsunami Bar challenges your body in ways traditional equipment cannot. Learn more at TsunamiBarSports.com.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
Okay, let's give you tonight's recruiting report. It's brought to you by Seawell's. What do you got? Tomorrow, Friday, Seawell's Daily Luncheon Buffet, 11 to 2. The menu is hot off the press.
What did you just say?
What did I say?
Said tomorrow, Friday?
I said Thursday and Friday. What's tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah, tomorrow and Friday. Tomorrow, Thursday, Friday. Tomorrow and Friday.
Okay. I get what you're saying. There wasn't quite long enough of a pause. I was trying to get you in. Thought you were saying tomorrow was Friday.
Do me a favor. Do your job and give me the menu.
Tomorrow is a Thursday, and tomorrow is a roast beef Thursday at Seawell's. They also have southern fried chicken, fried pork chops, and shrimp Alfredo.
Friday,
they have southern fried chicken, sliced beef brisket, baked flounder fillets with mango relish, and Polish kielbasa with grilled peppers and onions.
Bergie, do you like mango relish? Is that something that you relish?
I don't know that I've ever had mango relish.
I relish the thought of mango relish.
I'm not a relish guy.
Yeah.
But mangoes aren't terrible.
No, they're not. It's a wonderful fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it a vegetable? No, I think it's a fruit. What is it?
They're pickles.
What is it, Plumber?
Oh, mangoes are a fruit, but relish is pickles.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, Bergie? Bergie would know.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Like
I said earlier.
We'll ask the folks at Seawell's. All right, I got to get to recruiting. Don't forget Seawell's for all your catering needs. 803-771-7385 online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. Couple of stories up on the website. We'll shorten them up here. Offensive lineman Stafford Willis, 6'5", 283, out of Arab, Alabama, which is over near Huntsville. Arriving in Columbia tonight, staying tomorrow. Looking forward to meeting up with Randy Clements and Sam Survey, the guys he's been talking to. He's super excited about being at South Carolina. Going to leave South Carolina and go for a visit to Florida for the weekend. And he's also going to see Ohio State, Cincinnati, Virginia Tech, Arkansas, Duke, Georgia Tech, Oklahoma State, Miami, West Virginia. Those are schools coming up for his visits. Clemson, 2027 safety, Keelan Shelton Jr. out of Charlotte. He's going to see Clemson twice, on Saturday and coming back for the spring game March 28th. So they've been on him for a while. Thomas Allen recruiting him for the Tigers, and they're very much involved. Wake Forest, Virginia, Kentucky, Missouri, NC State, Tennessee, Nebraska, Virginia Tech, Indiana, they've offered. He's got officials Wake Forest May 29th and Virginia the following weekend. Spotted at USC spring practice today, as reported by Hale McGranahan, the Big Spur, committed corner Amari Fountain, wide receiver Jaden Kelly Murray, quarterback Ethan Royal, offensive lineman Tyler Graham, he's out of Pennsylvania, defensive end Elijah Cox from Atlanta, 28 running back Michael Martin from Christchurch, 29 receiver Corey Miller, Irmo, 29 receiver Malachi Debnam of Easley, defensive end Jaden Bryan Irmo, LSU commitment, added an official visit to USC June 12th per 24/7 Sports. He also has Miami May 29th, A&M June 5th, LSU June 19th, 28 defensive tackle Prince Che, Thomasville, Georgia, plans to visit USC April 11th. Also has dates set with Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, and Texas A&M. 28 linebacker Skylar Austin of Raleigh, spring visits NC State March 5th, USC March 6th, Florida March 7th, also Tennessee, Virginia Tech on his list. 29 quarterback Ty Snell, Allen, Texas, plans to visit South Carolina this spring. USC offered 28 tight end Bennett Conyers, 6'4", 215 of Nashville. Irmo running back Ty Phillips was at Clemson on Tuesday. That's recruiting. Be right back.
On Point Weather, brought to you by our friends at Palmetto State Armory.
On 107 The Point.
Here's your Wednesday evening forecast. Overnight stays quiet and partly cloudy with lows near 49 degrees. We warm into the low 80s Thursday, and that warmer pattern holds into the weekend. A slight chance of an isolated afternoon shower returns late weekend into early next week. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
What's better than getting the best Wagyu and Hereford beef anywhere in these parts and getting it delivered to your door? How about knowing you're still supporting local farmers in Saluda over at H&J Cattle, where tradition meets quality? Visit HandJCattle.com. Place your order for $50 or more, get free delivery in Richland or Lexington County. Plus, Point listeners get 10% off your order. Enter keyword The Point as one word for your discount. HandJCattle.com.
Ooh, that was great. Now check this out.
Technology. With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The House Oversight Committee has voted to subpoena Attorney General Pam Bondi to answer questions over the Justice Department's handling of files related to the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking investigation. 5 Republicans joined Democrats on Wednesday to support the subpoena proposed by GOP Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina in a sign of continued frustration with the department's review and release of a tranche of documents regarding the wealthy financier. President Trump is pressing big tech to build its own power as AI data centers spark anger over electric bills. On Wednesday, he hosted technology companies at the White House and promoted a ratepayer protection pledge. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 238 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Hi, this is Chris Neely, Superintendent of the South Carolina Public Charter School District. I hope you'll join Kevin and me each Tuesday afternoon. We'll bring you Kids First, where we talk about educational issues and what we're doing to teach kids the right way. It's Kids First, Tuesday at 5:30 right here on 100.7 The Point.
When your pipes panic, Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning steps right in, fast and friendly. Josh and his team aren't just fixing leaks, they're restoring your peace of mind. This is when you're at your most vulnerable. You got a problem, you need a solution. They're not coming out to upsell you or talk you into something new this or new that. You'll appreciate their process. They'll tell you what needs to get done and what it'll cost before they ever even bring in their tools to start the work. They're locally owned, which unfortunately is no longer the norm in the Midlands. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning will treat every home like their own. They've done work for me, for my brother, countless numbers of Point listeners. Dial 799-2222 or visit franklinplumbing.sc.com and you tell them Kev from The Point sent you. You will experience plumbing that's more than just a fix. It's a solution from people who care about their work and stand by it. When you need them, please don't panic. Just call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning, 799-2222.
Have you visited the original Pancake House on Forest Drive lately? Still family owned while focusing on amazing breakfast and lunch, fresh ingredients, and providing a family feel with the best service around. And isn't that what really matters when you go out? It's all about fresh, huge oven-baked omelets, their famous Dutch baby, and wow, those amazing pancakes. Gotta try those apple pancakes. Thick cut bacon, the finest French toast, and oh, those homemade crepes. It's the original Pancake House, Trenton Plaza. Come see us.
When your temperatures swing, your comfort shouldn't. At Sweet Comfort Services, we make sure your system's ready for anything. Get our $99 preventative maintenance, a full inspection and tune-up that keeps your equipment efficient, reliable, and safe. Thinking it's time for an upgrade? We offer estimates on new Goodman and American Standard systems. You'll get honest advice, fair pricing, and expert installation. No gimmicks, no surprises. Call 803-331-8143 or visit sweetcomfortservices.com to schedule today.
Calling all outdoorsmen and gun enthusiasts. On March 20th and 21st, Palmetto State Armory brings you The Gathering at the Clinton House. Back for its 6th year in Clinton, South Carolina, join us on March 20th and 21st for a full-scale range day and vendor experience featuring demo ranges with your favorite rifle, shotgun, and suppressor manufacturers, alongside custom knife and gear makers you won't find anywhere else. Single and 2-day passes are available, but quantities are limited. Don't miss The Gathering. Get tickets now at palmettostatearmory.com/thegathering.
Hello, this is Stacy Huff, host of Huff Nation Sports Zone, each and every Saturday, 10 to 11 a.m. right here on 100.7 FM, The Point, and also 1470 a.m. It'll be a fun trip around the world of sports. Huff Nation Sports Zone, check it out.
It's SC Wild with Major Billy Downer from the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer is here to answer your questions about the great outdoors. Call in now at 888-898-2525 and join SC Wild on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, time to talk about life in the great outdoors here in South Carolina. And who wouldn't want to be outdoors with this kind of weather today? It's supposed to be warm through the rest of the week. And we welcome in Major Billy Downer from the Department of Natural Resources. If you have a question or comment for the Major, you can reach us through the phone lines, 888-898-2525, 888-898-2525, or you can send us a text message that we will relay to him. That line number is 803-900-4847, 803-900-4847. Welcome in, Major. I know it's beautiful outside and a great time to be outside, but you got some stuff on the inside that you want to talk about, though it is something you can do on the outside as well.
It absolutely is. It's great to be back on the show today. Nice warm weather, hopefully drying things out from the soaker we had last week, the cold weather that kind of followed along with it. But yeah, great warm day. Spent the day today afternoon out with archers from high schools across South Carolina at our South Carolina Archery in the School State Tournament. So big day for archers across the state. You know, for folks that don't know, in South Carolina, we have an Archery in Schools program, which is a part of the school curriculum. It usually happens as part of physical education in public, private, and home schools across the state. Currently, just a little bit of information about the program. We have around, I think we've had up to 700 schools in the program. I think 242 actually reported last year as far as being active. 28,000 archers involved in those reports, with 439 teachers and instructors. So to be a teacher, if you are interested in having a team in your area, if you listen to this and you want to do something with archery in schools or have archery in your school, contact DNR. First of all, you can contact Gus, and also your local school board or school principal, headmaster, and let them know you'd like to get involved with archery in schools or your child to have the opportunity to do that. It's popular across the state. I mean, it's from the mountains to the sea in every school. So we're excited. Today is a big day. This is a day we give away about $50,000 in college scholarships to archers today, mostly graduating seniors. So this is a big pick-me-up. We have one young man today that won 4 separate scholarships.
Wow.
I think he totaled over $8,000 in scholarships that he walked away with just for shooting a bow today.
That's amazing.
So he was the top shooter. Great archer, did a great job, and it's fun to watch the teams. Again, a lot of energy in it. It's kind of like watching it's not like watching football from the standpoint of the plays, but parents are sitting there with binoculars and they're watching the arrows and they're looking at the targets to see how their young person's doing or the child's doing or the high schooler's doing. Yesterday was elementary school. That's just a great day with a lot of kids. This program goes from 4th grade through 12th grade. Today was high school. Yesterday was elementary school. In elementary school, you've got kids there, their grandparents are there, their parents are there. In some cases, great-grandparents are watching. And they're really excited about it, and they have a good job. But again, the 4th grader and the 12th grader are shooting the exact same bow. And that's a really cool design by Matthews Bow, the Genesis bow, which goes for any age. Basically, it doesn't matter how far your draw length is.
Mm-hmm.
You can turn the bow up a certain amount of poundage, but the bow's the same bow, whether it's a 4th grader or a 12th grader, and depending on how far they bring it back, so how fast the arrow flies. So it's incredible to watch these young people out there shooting. But today again, high schools from across the state, and just a couple for the scoreboard today. We have 2 tournaments. We have a bullseye tournament, which is typically your circle you see with the yellow, red, black, blue lines in that bow. Today, our top 3 schools came in first for bullseye. First place was a home school called the Velo Storm out of Simpsonville, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
They took first. They had 182 arrows in the 10 ring, 129 in the 9 ring. White Knoll High School took second from Lexington. They had 140 arrows in the 10 ring and 160 in the 9 ring. That's tight. That's doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
And then Fort Dorchester was in third from North Charleston, and they had 149 in the 10 ring and 134 in the 9 ring. So the 10 ring's basically the bullseye.
Yeah.
And then you've got the 9 ring is the circle right outside of that. So doing really well there. Those kids just shot incredible today. And then we have a 3D tournament as well. So that is where we start. It's kind of a transition or a nod toward hunting a little bit, in that they're shooting 3D animals. So it's a little bit more exciting than just shooting a yellow, red, and black target. It's a little bit more than that. It's actually a deer, a 3D deer. It may be a 3D coyote, a turkey, a bear. So it's kind of cool. They get to shoot those different animals. The target, again, your 10 ring's the same size, but it's on an animal that can be the size of a turkey. So it's the same size target area you're trying to reach for, but you don't have as much room for error as you do on a big target. So in the 3D realm, first place was White Knoll High School. They had 95 in the 10 ring, 66 in the 9. Second place was River Bluff High School, also from Lexington, with 102 in the 10 ring, 47 in the 9 ring. And third place, again, from Simpsonville, the Velos Storm, which is a home school. Again, we have all sorts of schools. We have public schools, private schools, and home schools that shoot archery in schools across the state. And again, typically during PE. So today was a great day. Scholarships again, $50,000 in scholarships for shooting a bow for a couple weeks in school is pretty cool. For us, it's an opportunity to have young people participate in shooting sports that's not a consumptive shooting sport. It's not loud. It's not a big bang. It doesn't take you having to be an athletic person either. So it's interesting, of course. Athletes are athletes are athletes. It doesn't matter. If you're a good athlete, you're going to be a good athlete. But in this realm with archery, you don't have to be good at baseball, football, basketball. You can be terrible at it, and you can be a great archer. It doesn't take a whole lot of strength. So it's great for any young person. Again, that's why they go from 4th grade to 12th grade. But these 12th graders, they're good shooters. I mean, they're shooting a circle that's literally about 3 to 4 inches around. And they're getting all the arrows in that, stacking in there. They only get, 10 shots, and they get 30 shots total each time. And they're shooting at the 10, 15, 25, 15 meter, 10 meter. It's a pretty good skill to watch them do that. So, again, that was today. Tomorrow, middle school, and we'll get through that tomorrow. And that'll be the end of our tournament for this This year's at the State Fairgrounds.
Oh.
Always exciting. But again, archery doesn't take a whole, you don't have to be a strong young person. You don't have to be, super talented at football, baseball, basketball, the big triunes there. You can just be a regular person and come in there and shoot archery. And we've had some really good shooters, both male and female. Years ago with the archery got really popular with some movies that came through. And we saw a rise in popularity with archery. And it's kind of waned a little bit as far as, during COVID it was hard because we weren't doing anything inside hardly. Archery's coming back. It can be done outside, like you said, Phil, but typically this is done inside in the gymnasium. The nets are hung from basketball goals basically on the side. And you can do this inside of a gym safely. And it's done across the state. It's been done now for 20 years we've been doing this program. So pretty cool how far the program's come.
I can remember you and I going to the event in Sumter.
Right.
And watching it and doing the show from there, I believe. And it was pretty impressive watching these young folks, standing there and the speed at which those arrows fly and hitting the bullseye or hitting the 9 circle, whatever the case may be, and just how many. The thing was the volume of young people that you had at all different ages in that arena competing. And so now you've moved it to the state fairgrounds, a little more centrally located, but not that much. But did you need more room? Did they need a bigger building in which to handle this?
Absolutely. We needed a bigger building. So we're using the Canny building to be able to spread out and have more lanes. Absolutely. So it allows more young people to participate in the state tournament. And we got so big we had to kind of open it up for a little bit more. Allows us to get it done in a little bit better time because you can shoot more shooters. If we'd stayed at Sumter, a little bit smaller facility, you start getting longer in the day. And you're trying to get people back on the road safely. But yes, it's been a highly successful program. Again, starting around 2006, so it's been 20 years now we've had archery in the schools. And we've got, like I said, 700 schools that participate in the program, currently 242 active. Like I said, COVID took a little hit with activities in school, and we're growing back from that. So, again, been tremendously successful. Was excited to see young people across the state, and they get excited, the cheers. And tomorrow will be even, but middle school really gets into it. And there's one team that brings a bobcat every year, a mounted bobcat, and that's their school mascot. And they all hold that up and cheer. So tomorrow will be a lot of loud voices, girls and boys, with a lot of excitement tomorrow.
Let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
Let me ask you this. So I'm sure we've talked about this before. So how many of these youngsters who like to go out and hunt will do so using the bow and arrow style of hunting? Do you see a large number of the kids going out and doing that in the woods?
We did some programming where we did try to transition some kids if they wanted to try going from target archery to hunting. We did a little bit of that, and it's very intensive as far as the amount of time you put in to get somebody to learn how to shoot a little bit different bow, going from the compound bow that's the Genesis bow to something that has enough power to actually take an animal. It's a lot more power. But here's the point. In the end, it doesn't matter if they ever hunt at all. If they continue to participate in target archery and enjoy it, that's all that matters. It keeps them out of trouble. It keeps them, in the outdoors. And the equipment they buy for archery goes back to help wildlife management in South Carolina. So it's just like firearms. You've heard us talk about firearms, but you may forget, we say, all the money from the sale of firearms, ammunition, and archery equipment goes back into that Pittman Robertson Fund. So we support archery in any form, whether it's target archery, just like shooting. Target shooting doesn't have to be a hunter to help support wildlife management and to support hunter education in our state. So archery is important. Just having the kids enjoy it, enjoy a safe sport, and can compete. And again, it's kids at any level can compete in it. So it's really cool.
Here we are. One more question. I'll let you move on to the next thing because I know you want to talk about what's going on outdoors and the fishing coming up with the weather turning warm. Is it an expensive? A lot of things are expensive. Is this an expensive sport?
It's so here's the question. When you say, is it expensive? Think about it. What does it cost to play travel baseball? And everybody has a travel baseball. Everybody, it seems like.
Yeah.
everybody has a child playing travel baseball. So a Genesis bow, I was just looking it up right now to make sure, around $175, $200 for a Genesis bow.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a little cheaper than that bat that's out there everybody wants to get for softball or baseball. I know I've spent more than that on a bat for my daughter while she was playing travel softball. So, you pay to play, so to speak, at any level. The one thing about the Genesis bow, it can follow them from 4th grade all the way to the 12th grade if they participate in the program. It's a one-time purchase. The arrows, $20, $30 for some arrows, and they can shoot in the backyard with a simple target. It's really cheap from that standpoint. And again, so it's the price point I think is right. It's not like a firearm or something you have to go to a range to shoot. You can actually shoot the bow in the backyard, the Genesis bow particularly, because you're looking at 15 meters, which is, it's less than 45 feet. So relatively small area, you can shoot that Genesis bow safely. So pretty cool. But you're right. I do want to talk about with the warm weather today and the warm weather we're looking at coming around the corner here, fishing is going to start hitting hard. And I'm already hearing word of some folks that are doing well in Sparkleberry Swamp on some panfish, some crappie, and doing well bite with the crappie bite picking up a little bit. Folks on the lake doing crappie as well. But if this warm weather keeps coming, you're going to see some brim start biting in the next week or two for sure as we approach. And I haven't looked when the full moon is next, and I'm going to do that. Let's see when the next full moon is, because that is when fish really get strong. Let's see, next full moon is right now. Wow, we're right here in it. So we're at the full moon. So next full moon will come April 1st. So as we get closer to the end of the month, April, right now, probably fishing doing well. But if it warms up a little bit more, it's going to get really good at the end of the month. But this warm days, it'll get some panfish starting to bed. Particularly, this time of year is when we see shellcracker really get popular. The shellcracker are really large brim that are pretty aggressive on a cricket or a worm. Just depends on what they're wanting to bite that day. But they are really good in some shallow areas on the lakes. Shellcracker this time of year on Lake Marion is a tremendous quarry for most people that want to fish. And early mornings, late evenings, typically when they bite best. And as this warm weather hits, we get in the 70s. That water starts to warm up just a little bit. That's going to start them fired up. Haven't heard any reports yet, but that's the first thing I look for with your bluegill bite to follow. And then folks that like to go in your backwater streams is going to be a little bit longer before redbreast start biting. But that's kind of where we are on inshore as far as freshwater fishing this time of year as well. Near shore, inshore, you'll start seeing redfish tail in the flats right now. Your trout bite, flounder start coming back in. Your sheephead start moving back on the structure inside and inshore. Where in the wintertime, a lot of fish go offshore to get out of that colder water, shallow water. As it starts warming up, they start coming in. That takes time for that water to warm up. A lot more time on the ocean than it does, or in your estuaries, than it does on a lake system, for instance. So it'll be a little bit longer before you really get some really good bite coming on. Especially sheephead, they'll start coming up as it gets warmer in the next month or two. Flounder, same thing, really start picking up in the next month or two as well. But again, folks know how to fish for sheephead and know how to fish for spot tail. This warmer weather will get you outside trying after them for sure.
Sounds like it. And, they'll be dropping lines all over the place. Let me ask you this. We had some super cold weather, for kind of an extended time. We had the snow and all that kind of stuff. So in any way, does that impact fishing in the state negatively, like, I don't know, from a spawning standpoint or doing any sort of damage that people should be aware of that it's going to take a little bit of recovery time in that area?
So we do have what we call a cold water kill in salt water, particularly with our sea trout. And we've talked about it on the show before, but typically that's when we get in the teens for multiple days and the harbor really gets hard. Your harbors get real cold. That's when you see some kill on some of your trout. Have not heard that report this year. We didn't have a lot of teens, straight days. We did get some snow and all, but that was because we were in the 30s, 20s, upper 20s, 30s when we got snow. Didn't really have a hard freeze there. As far as your freshwater lake streams, no impact. Fish find the lower areas to get out of that cold water, and they're more cold tolerant than species like our speckled trout, sea trout. They are more susceptible to cold weather kill, and we've talked about that in the past. We really got some hard freezes and teens for, again, multiple days. Didn't see that this year, so I haven't heard of any kill-offs on our trout, so I expect to see trout bite be pretty good here this year in the next few weeks as it gets warmer in the next months to come.
Mm-hmm.
But again, right now, probably for most outdoor fishermen, it's crappie time, and it's also going to start being shellcracker time. That's coming around the corner. And the shellcracker are the red-eared sunfish. They are a beautiful trophy, and you can get some of those in the pound and a half size when they really start biting. And again, they're a really aggressive fish. Typically, anywhere from 2 to 4 foot of water, you're going to find those next to reeds. And in my career, I've gotten to see some pretty cool beds just checking people around the lake. And when you see those things, and when you see the weeds around a tree start bumping, or even the lily pads, you can see that lily pad bump where those fish are hitting it. So many fish around that bed, when they start fanning out that bed and they start bumping, you see all those lily pads start bumping and it's kind of moving.
Mm-hmm.
You got a pretty hot bed, and all you got to do on the lake is go around and look, and you'll see 10 boats gather around a tree. Well, there's a reason why they gather around the tree. They're on a bed. So let's speak about that for a minute. We talk about it during duck season a lot, about being aware of space, staying out of someone's zone of fire. When it comes to fishing, people sometimes forget ethics and just good common sense. Look, if you're fishing on a tree and you're catching fish, it doesn't mean that somebody else can't come out to the other side of the tree and catch the same fish.
Mm-hmm.
They can. And typically, people will gather up around one bed, and they'll all fish the same bed. And sometimes people get snagged up with each other, and they get mad. It's better just to kind of be patient. I'm not encouraging anyone, if you see 2 or 3 boats around a tree, to go over there and make the 4th boat. That's not smart. Use some space. There's going to be more than that one bed around. You just got to find it. And inherently, sometimes people are lazy. They don't want to go look. They know there's a bed there because people will gather around it, so they just want to stick their nose of the boat up in there, start fishing in the same spot. Try to space yourself out. There's nothing wrong with 2 or 3 people fishing in a bed. Just be aware of your space, be aware of your rod, your hooks, those kind of things when you're around. Most people use short length line on that a lot of times with a brim buster to get and access those tight beds like that. But again, just be aware of people around you and give space to others. Find another bed, space out. You don't have to all crowd 5, 6 boats around a bed. I've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
And people get agitated. They get mad. Nobody owns it. Remember that. Nobody owns the bed. But use some good common sense. Space yourself out accordingly as brim beds like your shellcracker beds start getting hot. Try to find those beds, get there. Go early in the morning. Don't wait till a little late when everybody else has already got on the bed, and you're the last person to arrive. You need to find somewhere else to go. But some people just don't want to listen to that. Again, it's just a little bit of etiquette. Take your time. If somebody's already there, go somewhere else.
One more quick thing. We got about 2 minutes. Oysters
Yes, sir.
and shrimp. Oysters and shrimp. What kind of season are we looking at there?
So your shrimp season's not now. It comes up later in the fall. So shrimp's not in right now as far as bait for shrimp, those kind of things. And oysters, this is the time of year. Everybody seems to have an oyster roast in the spring or late winter, fall, February, March. So oysters. Big thing about oysters is, can you go collect your own oysters in South Carolina? You can. I would suggest you know where you're going, know the estuary you're going in. Make sure you get oysters that are from a reputable dealer. And that's an important piece on oysters. Get them from a reputable market so you're getting good, clean oysters. You don't want oysters coming from somewhere that may have been pulled out of the mud somewhere where they're not supposed to be fishing for oysters. It might be contaminated, whatever. Because remember, oysters are a filter. They're filtering the water. So if they're in a bad area, they're filtering the bad stuff out. So you want to make sure you get oysters from a reputable dealer. And that's just a big 2 cents to remember.
Very good. Very good. Well, we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. We'll be getting close to the Sportsman's Classic. I know we'll be taking a look at that and some of the big plans you guys have for that coming up later on this month.
And we'll also talk about, next time we'll start talking about getting ready for turkey season, as that is just a few weeks around the corner. When the Classic comes, it's almost turkey season. So we'll go through some of the do's and don'ts. I've had some questions asked of me in the last week that I just want to share with folks. We'll share next time just how to prepare your fields, what's the legal way, what's the right way, what you can and can't do as far as turkey hunting. So we'll look forward to that next time.
All right, Major, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the week next week, and we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Major Billy Downer, Department of Natural Resources, here on Sports Talk. SC Wild from DNR here on Sports Talk. All right, Clemson's blown it open against Michigan State, 9-1, middle of the sixth for the Tigers as they play this game in Greenville. And let's see, Gaffney's homered for Clemson. Gerald's homered for Clemson. South Carolina in a tight one with Charleston Southern, 2-0. Chicoli on the mound for the Gamecocks, 4 innings, 3 hits, struck out 2, so 2-0 there. And that will do it. Have a great night. We'll see you from the Classic in Georgetown tomorrow.